The SlenderMan experience. Summertime had just rolled around, and my dad had taken time off from work to spend time with me and my brother Georgie. He said it would be a great idea if we all went camping like we used to when I was much younger. Now that I had just turned 19, I was too busy with school and taking care of Georgie that I rarely had any time to do anything with all of us together as a family. Anyways, I happily agreed to the camping trip, and Georgie seemed more than excited to go camping for the very first time. We loaded the car with all the camping supplies that we needed, along with extra clothes, a first aid kit, and plenty of food to last us a 3-day weekend. "Come on, you guys, we should have already left by now. Let's go," said Dad as he started the car. The thing about my dad is that he's a very bipolar and hardcore person. Sometimes he doesn't know what he says affects a person's feelings, but both me and Georgie choose to stay on his good side, so we both don't have to deal with his harsh words. We still love him, though. Finally, we both get in the car and anxiously await to see the campground that Dad was taking us to. "You two are gonna love this spot. Not many people come around here, so we'll probably have the whole campsite to ourselves," said Dad. Hearing that made me confused. Why wouldn't anyone else be camping there? Don't most families go camping during the summer? I thought about this the entire drive. When we arrived, I noticed that there was no other cars, buildings, or any form of life around, just trees and wilderness. But this wasn't your typical green, happy, and sunny wilderness. This was gray and quiet with tall, dark trees. "Okay, we're here. Let's unload the car, kids," said Dad as he parked in front of the entrance of the woods. Nearby was a sign that nearly made the blood drain from my face. It read, "Slender Woods." I had read about this place. Legend has it is that others have gone into the Slender Woods and have never come out. Others have told me that it's because of something called a SlenderMan. I never stuck around long enough to hear the rest of the story, though, because quite frankly, it scared the living hell out of me. "Dad, we can't camp here! This area is dangerous!" I practically screamed. "What are you talking about?" Dad asked. I could tell by the tone in his voice that he was getting very annoyed. "Dad, this is Slender Woods. The SlenderMan lives here. If we go in these woods, we're never gonna come out again." I looked over at Georgie, who was shaking. I couldn't tell if it was from fear or from the fog that seemed to be surrounding us. "Bianca, stop it. You're scaring your brother, and there is no such thing as a damn SlenderMan. Now stop making up stories and help me and your brother unload." I sighed under my breath. Why wouldn't he listen to me? I just did what I was told and walked behind my dad and Georgie into the Slender Woods. While they calmly walked, laughing and talking amongst themselves, I was staying completely alert and looking all around me for any followers. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to be looking for, though. Part of me wanted to believe that these woods weren't really haunted, but something else in the back of my mind told me not to let my guard down. "Sis, come on, you're gonna get left behind," called Georgie. I was surprised that I hadn't even noticed that they had gone on without me. I quickly started walking more faster to catch up with them, but a sound of a twig snapping behind me stopped me dead in my tracks. I slowly turned around to see what made that noise, but there was nothing there. There wasn't even a broken twig on the ground. Not a bird or any other animal or in any of the trees. That sure didn't calm my nerves. Not taking any chances, I turned right back around and ran as fast as I could to be at my family's side. Later on, after we set up a camp, pitched up a tent, and lit a fire, the three of us just sat there, roasting hot dogs and marshmallows, and just desperately trying to enjoy the rest of our camping trip. "Dad, were there any lakes around here? I want to go swimming," said Georgie, breaking the silence. I half expected Dad to be annoyed at the question, but I guess he was in a better mood now, because he said, "Tomorrow we'll go looking for a lake, buddy. Right now we should get ready for bed." That night, while Georgie and my dad were sound asleep, I lay there wide awake in my sleeping bag, listening to the wind howl outside. There was no way that I could sleep with these thoughts of a monster roaming these woods, probably stalking me and my family. I tried to block out those thoughts by thinking of another thing, like my crush Andrew, and how I would love to go up to him and say, "I love you, please love me too," but I doubt he'd ever feel the same way about me. He's the one who actually told me and my friends about Slender Woods. I didn't believe him till now. After countless hours of trying to go to sleep, I felt the sudden urge to go to the bathroom. Since there were no porta potties or any public bathrooms around, I knew I would have to go outside the tent and find a public place behind a tree or something to go. God, give me strength, I whispered to myself as I quietly unzipped the tent, grabbed my flashlight, and went outside. It was pitch black. Not even any stars were out. I quickly turned on my flashlight and started looking for a spot to go. When I could finally hold it in no more, I ran behind the nearest tree, dropped my flashlight, pulled my pants down, and sighed in relief as my full bladder was now emptied out. When I was done, I pulled my pants back up and bent down to pick up my flashlight. But once I stood back up again, there in front of me stood a very tall man. I studied him over with my flashlight. He was wearing a black suit, a tie. He had long, skinny arms and legs, and when I pointed my flashlight up to his upper half, I had to hold back a scream with my hands. This man had no face, no eyes, no mouth, no nose, no nothing. Suddenly my vision started to get blurry, and a sound, like the white noise on a TV, started going. My whole body became weak, and I felt like I was about to drop out any minute. No, this wasn't the end. I couldn't just let this freak, this SlenderMan, get his creepy hands on me. I steadied myself by the nearest tree and started flickering my flashlight on and off. Leave me alone! Go away! I did this until my fingers started throbbing in pain. When I finally stopped, he was gone. I looked all around me. There wasn't a trace of him. It's like he just vanished into thin air. I quickly turned around and ran as fast as my feet could carry me back to the tent. I rushed into the tent and threw myself back into my sleeping bag. Go to sleep, Bee. Go to sleep. This is all a bad dream. This is all a bad dream. I kept repeating to myself before I finally fell asleep. The next morning I woke up to find that I was alone in the tent. I figured that my dad and Georgie must have gotten up already. I changed into the tent and expected to find them sitting around a new campfire cooking breakfast. But they weren't there. Dad? Georgie? I called out, but all I got in return was the echo of my own voice. Where could they be? The car was still here, and so was everything else. Could they? No, there was no way that thing could have taken them, right? That's when it hit me. I led him right to us. This is all my fault. Now the thing has taken my family. I began to panic. Where could he have taken them? Were they still alive? I was panicking so much that my breathing started to slow down. Okay, calm down. This is my fault. I have to find a way to find my dad and my brother, even if it means risking my own life. I went back into the tent and packed my backpack with a hunting knife, my flashlight, first aid kit, and a pack of crackers and a big bottle of water. As I looked back at the campsite, I said goodbye to the last pieces of civilization that I had left. I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I just take the car instead of walking? Well, for one thing, the keys were gone and there was no way that I was going to be able to drive the car without crashing into any of the damn trees that were in the way. As I continued walking, I kept calling out, Dad! Georgie, where are you? But every time I would get no response back. As I got deeper and deeper into the woods, I got more and more scared. I had no idea what was going to happen to me, but seeing something ahead of me snapped me out of my thoughts. It was a piece of crumpled up notebook paper taped to a nearby tree. I quickly grabbed it and looked it over. In scribbly black crayon writing, it had the words, Help us. I couldn't believe it. Georgie must have wrote this. You bastard! Let my dad and brother go! I screamed so loud that I even scared myself when I heard it echo back to me. I continued to walk until I reached what looked like an old abandoned farm. A creaky old windmill continued to spin slowly. The barn was black and had cracks all around it. The smell of decaying corpses and animals filled the air. It stunk so bad that I nearly wanted to stop breathing. But what really stood out from this barn was the trees. There were nearly 50 dead bodies hanging from them. Some had their eyes open. Some didn't have eyes at all. Some were missing limbs, and some were still dripping blood, and others had eternal organs hanging out. The sight was so gruesome that I fell to my knees, gasping for breath, trying so desperately not to vomit. I decided to lay there on the crunchy, itchy, dead grass and held my stomach. This can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real. I kept repeating to myself. I didn't want to get up. This is so much for a 19-year-old girl to take in. But about 20 minutes later, music began to play. From the sound of it, it was jazz, but the melody was really sad. Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root, black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. As I listened, I noticed that the music seemed to be coming from the barn. But who could be playing this? Who the hell would even be living in a creepy place such as this? All these thoughts flowed through my mind as I slowly got up and walked to the barn. I slowly opened the barn door and noticed that it was pitch black inside. Hello? Is anyone in here? I heard your music. I called out and still got no reply. I was just about to walk out of the barn when I heard the sound of movement behind me, like something was trying to get away. I quickly reached for my flashlight. I flicked it on and spun around. I'll never forget that sight. My dad, my protector, wrapped in what looked like black tentacles, blood dripping from his mouth and his eyes missing from their socket. And Georgie, my poor little brother, also wrapped in tentacles, but he was still alive. Tears were streaming from his face, and the poor thing struggled to get free from the grasp of the SlenderMan. At this point, I just wanted to cry and give up. Dad was dead, and this thing would surely kill me and Georgie. Plus, if those dead bodies hanging from trees never made it out of here, how would we? No, I wasn't gonna let it end this way. I had to try. Let him go, you sick fuck! I screamed as I took out my hunting knife and stabbed it deep into the tentacles that held Georgie. Gross, slimy, black stuff leaked out of them. SlenderMan groaned in pain as he dropped Georgie onto the barn floor. I quickly ran to my brother's side, picked him up, and ran to the barn door. Just as I was inches away from getting out safely, the barn door slammed in my face. I pushed and kicked as hard as I could, but the door just wouldn't open. Suddenly my vision started to get blurry again, and the white noise was once again found me. I held on to Georgie as we both cried and prepared for whatever was coming to us. Goodbye, Dad. Goodbye, Georgie, were my last words before my life was taken from me. Andrew, when you get into Slender Woods looking for answers, walk through the woods till you find an old abandoned farm. You will see an old windmill, a black barn with scratches and cracks, and a dead tree with over 50 dead bodies hanging from it. There you will find the bodies of my dad, my brother, and me, your friend who couldn't survive this experience. I hope this gives you all the answers to the SlenderMan existence. I hope you survive once you find all of this. If not, we'll be together again with the same experience.